In the darker corners of the internet, you might come across a small but enthusiastic group of people posting and discussing the torture of monkeys, with particular emphasis on baby monkeys. Upon first contact with such groups, you might question whether these videos and comments are being posted ironically. But should you spend more time in this tiny subsection of the internet, you'll find that the content produced is anything but ironic, both in terms of the videos, which undeniably exhibit real animal torture, the comments, which contain shared vernacular that could only form within an active community, terms such as tree rats instead of monkeys, and slang such as dropping the Y from the word monkey, and requests for videos, including requests for original content and requests for videos that have been previously viewed but subsequently deleted. Our question today is why? Why are people rallying around videos of monkeys being tortured to form a community? Are these people psychopaths? Or is there something in these videos that is intrinsically fascinating to anyone who comes across them? And just who are the people producing these videos? Let's dive in. Before YouTube cracked down on this type of content, monkey torture videos were labeled as such, and they were quite commonplace. Comments on these videos were frequently encouraging more torture and expressing pleasure from seeing pain in these animals. After the crackdown, content producers needed to get creative with the torture itself for the content to remain online. The torture was then performed and posted under the guise of another activity. For example, in monkey rescue videos, a monkey would be trapped, its body being crushed by a heavy object. The camera would focus on the monkey in the situation, but the monkey would eventually be released from the object with the cameraman's help. The title and description of the video might be something like, "Baby monkey saved from being crushed by a rock." But the ultimate point of the video was to exhibit the suffering of the monkey. Monkeys getting injected by unknown chemicals and monkeys having body parts amputated have also been labeled as rescue videos, but no one can verify whether these medical treatments were actually necessary. Nevertheless, the viewers of these faux rescue videos still commented not on the selflessness of the cameraman, but on their urge to see the monkey in more pain. Another common faux torture topic was bathing baby monkeys. In these videos, the monkeys would be held down under the water and soap would be rubbed in their eyes, all under the guise of being bathed. These videos, too, have been mostly removed from YouTube. The monkey video torture content producers at this point have been forced to move to other platforms or just to label their videos generically, such as Pet Baby Monkey, and hope that the right audience finds their videos. With YouTube unable to verify every uploaded pet monkey video as not including veiled torture, the content producers have managed to outrun the censors, for the most part. So, who are producing these videos of monkeys being tortured, and why are they doing it? As internet forums became aware of the sudden influx of monkey torture videos on the web, many had the benign theory that these videos were created by residents of countries in which monkeys had become pests, and that these videos were a sort of cathartic outlet for villagers who had their hometowns ravaged by wild monkeys. That theory is unlikely for two reasons. First, torture as a reaction to the invasion of pests, no matter how hated, is an extremely irrational reaction. These theory crafters seem to view third worlders as entirely alien to the rest of us, to the point where torture is just a matter of course. But consider this. Most people living in the first world countries have to deal with cockroaches. These disgusting bugs are usually swiftly killed or trapped. Should your neighbor one day tell you that instead of using bug spray, he mounts cockroaches up on the wall with needles, amputating each leg individually while filming the process, you'd reasonably conclude that he's unhinged. Thus, we should apply the same rationale to the surmised conclusion that these third worlders are just taking out their anger on an annoying pest. Filming monkey torture videos is not a rational reaction to having a monkey problem. Second, a look into the so-called monkey pest problem in Southeast Asia shows that these monkeys are not causing the damage that would reasonably result in what would otherwise be called war crimes. And the locals already have established methods in dealing with these monkey pests, so that in many of these areas, the monkeys are simply captured and sold to research facilities for the double win of controlling the monkey population and gaining some extra profit for their families. In addition, studies have shown that most of these residents affected by the monkeys preferred nonviolent responses to the monkey invasion problem and didn't harbor ill will toward these so-called pests. Hence, it's highly unlikely that we are witnessing the collective embodiment of anger from third worlders who are simply fed up with having to share space with these invasive monkeys. So, as with most such questions about the motivation of some sort of production online, instead of assuming evil intent from the outset, a better starting point for the answer is typically to follow the money. Video production on popular topics is a big moneymaker. But with most of the money being made on the English-speaking web, non-English speakers who wish to target the English-speaking market find the range of content types to be squeezed into a small handful of topics. Many seeking quick and easy cash target the low-hanging fruit, such as children's songs. The Indian-produced Finger Family videos come to mind here. While monkey torture is obviously not as big a market as children's education, it is still surprisingly popular. We will look into why in a minute, but for now, just consider the barrier to entry for this type of content. First, you need a monkey. More than one is preferred, especially if you are killing them during production. Monkeys are expensive in most first world countries, but can be purchased on the cheap in third world countries. They can also be free if you live near a jungle where capturing them is trivial. Second, you need to reside in a country where you won't be prosecuted for the torture of animals. This doesn't mean that you need to live in a country without laws against animal torture, just that you need to live in a country where the police won't seek you out to enforce those laws, or where it's hard to figure out who you are. Living in a third world country is preferred, as internet animal lovers will have a much harder time doxing you, thereby making it more difficult to alert the authorities about your actions should you be found out. Third, you need to be willing to torture monkeys. This is easy for psychopaths as they have no empathy when engaging in torture, but the people producing these videos are not necessarily psychopaths, just as those watching these videos are not necessarily psychopaths. It is important to note that people living in poverty often mentally justify unethical actions just to put food on the table. Thus, those producing this content are likely to either be legitimate psychopaths or so deep in poverty that they consider the life of a monkey to be a mere commodity. It should not come as a surprise, then, that most of these videos are produced in countries such as Brazil, Indonesia, and Cambodia, where monkeys roam freely, but money is hard to come by. Cambodia has an average daily income of about $1. To put that into the context of monkey torture videos, which were actually prominent on YouTube last year before YouTube became aware of this subculture and banned these content creators, a Cambodian monkey torture video producer could make more than the equivalent of a yearly salary with a single video that gains, let's say, 3,000 views. With the popularity of monkey torture, a single video could bring someone in Cambodia completely out of poverty. The next question is, who is watching this content, and why are they watching it? Psychological research has revealed certain reasons for animal torture. In general, there are 4 basic reasons, but only 1 or 2 of these reasons make sense for vicariously watching animal torture. For completeness, here are the 4 categories. 1. Domestic control. Some people torture the house pet as a way to display dominance over a spouse or their children. 2. Some people engage in torture before the religious sacrifice of an animal. 3. Psychopathy. Psychopaths torture animals as a form of enjoyment. And 4. Fetishism. Some people derive sexual pleasure from the torture of animals. Research has shown psychopaths to gain pleasure from vicariously experiencing violence, such as by watching violent videos. However, psychopaths make up such a small proportion of the population and typically don't join communities unless they can seek some tangible benefits from doing so. Thus, the monkey torture community is unlikely to be a community primarily composed of psychopaths. Hence, of the reasons given by psychologists researching animal abuse, fetishism seems to be the more likely one that could explain the popularity of monkey torture videos. Sexual fetishism aimed at animal torture tends to focus on the juxtaposition of strength and size of human and animal. This helps to explain why so many monkey torture videos focus on baby monkeys rather than older monkeys. Moreover, it helps explain monkeys as the target animal. Monkeys appear closer to humans than most other animals, and are therefore easier to fetishize than, say, a snake or a rabbit. Moreover, the monkeys used in these videos tend to be macaques, which share 93% of the genome with humans. While not as similar to humans as chimpanzees, macaques do have cuter faces, and they make extremely human-like expressions. The pleasure gained from sadomasochism relies on the psychochemical process resulting from the firing of mirror neurons, which fire more easily when you're looking at something that looks similar to yourself. It's thus easy to understand why the primary type of monkey appearing in these videos is the macaque instead of something like a mandrill or a marmoset. It's simply harder to derive sexual pleasure from animals that look too different from humans. Moreover, if you contrast the comments of these videos with the standard set of YouTube comments, you'll see a large discrepancy. Most YouTube videos' top comments tend to be analytical comments, or jokes, or words of support for the creator. The comments for monkey torture videos, in contrast, are much more similar to the comments on, let's say, porn videos. These comments are left by people who are highly stimulated by the content and are not thinking analytically. They are not trying to contribute to a conversation about the content, but they're just displaying their desires in the same way someone in a chat section in a sexy live stream would. Comments in a sexual live cam show might be something like, "You should put XXX in your YYY." And comments in a monkey torture video similarly are, "You should do XXX to that monkey's YYY." These commenters aren't posting from their frontal cortexes. These are comments left by people in heat. I'm sure someone watching this video who also likes watching monkey torture videos is thinking something like, "I'm not a psychopath, and I don't gain any sexual pleasure from watching these videos. I just like watching these videos for whatever reason they have. Perhaps observing the fragility of nature, or having an interest in the propensity for human cruelty, or maybe you got bit by a baby monkey while on vacation and you watch these videos for cathartic reasons." Whatever the reason is, it appears you are the outlier. There are always outliers. The data, nonetheless, show that most people deriving pleasure from these videos are most likely fetishists. This wasn't the answer I was expecting when I set out on my research for this video, but the deeper I dig into the studies on animal abuse, the stronger the theory becomes. I was expecting something more interesting, but at least from a psychological perspective served by the data, the best explanation thus far for this subculture truly seems to be one of fetishism. So I must admit that I still have the feeling that a large group of viewers are not fetishists. Further, I must admit that when I was researching this topic, for whatever reason, I found myself watching some of these videos longer than necessary. Maybe I have some psychopathic tendencies, or perhaps I have some sort of subconscious zoo sadism fetish. I reject these two conclusions because, one, I'm in my 30s, and 2, I hold a master's in psychology. I think I would know by now if I had either of these issues. Moreover, I don't have any urge to watch these videos after the completion of this video I'm making right now. So there must be something else to this. I remember when my wife and I were living in Thailand, we turned on the TV only to come across a live cockfighting competition. We're both from countries that have banned such acts, and we are both morally opposed to such acts. Yet, we found ourselves glued to the TV for nearly 2 hours, watching these two birds peck and scratch at each other until blood ran down their bodies. I don't think either of us were aroused by the fact that these birds were suffering from a lot of pain, and I don't think our fascination with the fight was much different from the fascination we would hold while watching a nature documentary in which a predator attacks its prey. While death is dark, the struggle to stay alive is innately appealing, perhaps because we all share the same desire to continue living in the face of hardship and despite being outmatched. The psychology on this makes sense. We humans evolved primarily as predators. Predatory activity is naturally risk-heavy, and thus our brains are wired to positively reinforce actions that ensure predator control. It is estimated that humans developed a taste for cruelty about 1.5 million years ago, and along with the evolution of mankind came social artifacts such as animal fighting for sport, animal sacrifices, inflicting pain on animals as a form of control and punishment. All of these ensure our dominance over other animals and are positively reinforced by our psychologies as to ensure our continued position high on the food chain. On that note, the appeal of a predator-prey focused nature documentary strokes some of the same aspects of human nature as does a monkey torture video. However, the reason we are comfortable watching nature documentaries but not monkey torture videos lies in the understanding of the production process. Most people tend to be biased toward having high amounts of empathy for animals, especially those animals similar to us. And most people know that the suffering of monkeys in monkey torture videos could be easily avoided, whereas the suffering we watch in a nature documentary is, well, natural. Of course, that's most people. There will always be a segment of the population who doesn't care where production comes from, so long as the production makes them feel something. It's all a sliding scale of empathy, and it's why we still attach diamonds to rings, and it's why we still eat meat. Or, on a more relevant note, it's why you can throw live chickens into lions' dens in China, and it's why you can blow up a cow with a rocket launcher in Vietnam. Hence, my second conclusion, the much less scientific conclusion, is that there is a subgroup of monkey torture viewers who are not psychopaths and don't have fetishes, but simply lack the empathy needed to eschew these videos. They watch the production just the same as they would watch a nature documentary, with interest but without thought to the actual animals being harmed behind the camera. It's just a quick hit of neurochemicals for them. It's not the same as a dopamine or serotonin hit you'd get from posting on social media, but studies have documented a strong psychological reaction stemming from seeing the struggle of life and death. And that's why violent sports, such as MMA and American football, remain popular. According to MRI studies, by vicariously experiencing brutality, our brains release endorphins, the neurotransmitter released during risky, exciting activities such as skydiving and fighting. Those sensitive to endorphins likely get more out of watching monkey torture videos than, say, someone who is more sensitive to a prosocial neurotransmitter such as oxytocin. But this conclusion theory doesn't explain very well why a stable community would form around those videos specifically. Unlike MMA, for which viewers watch not only for the endorphin rush, but also for the social aspects such as following the progress of a certain fighter or observing the evolution of certain types of champions in a certain weight class, monkey torture offers little in terms of staying power. While watching MMA could be called a hobby, watching monkey torture is little more than a quick fix of endorphins. the average monkey torture viewer, if truly fueled by endorphin sensitivity plus a lack of empathy, would be better served through other avenues and would have little reason to keep returning to this particular form of endorphin stimulant when there are better alternatives. Hence, the formation of a community around monkey torture seems highly unlikely, at least for this type of person. And so our deep dive continues to a much darker conclusion. Ultimately, we will never know specifically who are watching these videos, as that would require surveying the viewers. And for social reasons, monkey torture watchers are unlikely to give a good response rate and truthful responses to such a survey. YouTuber Yardfish went down this rabbit hole, thinking that most viewers would be edgy teenage boys, but concluded that the majority of viewers were middle-aged women. He made this conclusion from looking at the profiles of those making comments. Certainly not a very scientific conclusion, especially when you consider that boomers tend to be less tech-savvy and are thus much more susceptible to doxing. Younger viewers would simply be better at hiding their identities and thus underrepresented when you look at the public profiles of people commenting on monkey torture videos. However, he might not be entirely wrong in his thinking. Childless women do experience social pressure to have children. If it is too late for them to have children, or if they simply dislike children, they might fall into the trap of constant rumination about children. The subreddit Child Free is a good example of a community of childless women wishing ill on children. Baby monkey torture videos might be a form of catharsis for these women, as twisted as that might sound. Moreover, data on animal abusers show that the majority of people who are arrested for animal neglect are indeed middle-aged women. However, this is neglect, not intentional abuse. And it tends to come from animal hoarding. That is, keeping too many animals in too little space and not providing the animals adequate care. The damage done to these animals stems from ignorance, not from intentional infliction of harm. Moreover, there tends to be a strong sexual element to these videos, as evidenced by the amount of genital abuse these animals are subjected to. And these so-called middle-aged women, who are found to be a major demographic in animal neglect, tend to be in their 50s and 60s, which is well beyond the age at which the sex drive tends to drop rapidly. In addition, studies on women who have intentionally engaged in animal abuse found that such women tend to be younger, around the age of 30 on average, which doesn't seem to be a popular age for the female profiles commenting on monkey torture videos. I ultimately find it unlikely that middle-aged women compose the majority of the group of monkey torture supporters. Instead, consider another large demographic of animal abusers, young men living in rural areas. They constitute the plurality of intentional animal abuse cases. Researchers found that their psychological profile is highly focused on power dynamics, often having engaged in bullying behavior in school. This group also tends to like to play the victim, and they have low emotional control. During childhood, they were likely to have been abused or have witnessed abuse. They are more likely to have a criminal record as well. But perhaps most interesting is the overlap between animal abuse and sexual abuse. Many who have engaged in animal abuse were also found to have sexual assault backgrounds. And the overlap with pedophilia has also been well documented. This leads us to our darkest possible conclusion, but one that has quite a bit of evidence. In short, we could conclude that the monkey torture community has formed as a surrogate for a pedophile community. Not only do these baby monkey torture videos act as a proxy for child abuse videos, but the community that has formed around them is deemed protected. And protected here has two meanings. First, enjoying monkey torture videos is not illegal, and a community rallying around such a hobby will not be broken up, unlike a community of pedophiles rallying around child abuse videos, for instance. Second, monkey torture is so obscure that the majority of the mainstream will have no interest in joining. And because monkey torture enjoyers self-select, a community of pedophiles can naturally form without the members having to advertise the fact that they are pedophiles. The evidence for this theory has been found by people who have joined the community out of curiosity and not out of actual interest. Investigators of the whole monkey torture phenomenon have found that the monkey torture community tends to congregate on obscure image boards and Discord servers. You join the community by being frequently present and commenting on these image boards to where established members begin to recognize you. From there, you might get invited to a Telegram group or private Discord server where content is traded and requested. In many cases, a monkey torture content creator, or more commonly, someone in contact with that content creator, is a member of the private Discord server. Members of the server can make requests to that person for videos and pay via cryptocurrency. Some community infiltrators have reported that the average price of a torture video is around $200, which is more than the average annual salary in Cambodia. This has allowed these monkey torturers to continue the justification of producing these videos even after being booted off YouTube. While established for the main purpose of trading monkey torture videos, many of these Discord servers have been found to have links with pedophilia. For example, one community infiltrator was eventually invited to a supposed monkey torture Discord, only to find that the actual Discord, titled The Boys Club, was dedicated to underage boys. Monkey torture, at least to some in the community, has become a dog whistle for pedophiles. Pedophilia, by definition, is a sort of sadism due to the large difference in power dynamic. With this in mind, monkey torture should appeal to much of the same group. It seems that monkey torture has become a means by which pedophiles can find one another. As for what happens when these people actually do find one another, that's a rabbit hole I do not wish to transverse.